Giving away your personal power. I had an experience this week with a client, and she asked me to share this story because of all the work that she's doing on herself and all the awarenesses that she's coming forward and seeing where her weaknesses are. We've been working together for a bit, and she has this thing about putting people above her, like her teachers, her mentors, bosses, whatever. They have way more power over her than she should allow. So she's been asking to see what she needs to see every day, and she's been struggling in a relationship where her partner has an illness and they're not sure what it is, and he has like 3 months before he can get to the doctor to find out. So in her struggle, she decided to talk to a friend who does psychic work and see what she had to say about what's wrong with him. So lo and behold, he has his reading, and she tells him that he's severely ill, he has colon cancer, he has cancer throughout his rib cage, and she just goes on and on and on. And then she also talks about his daughter and how somebody's stalking her and it's sex trafficking and everything else. So he gets off the call and he thinks it's utterly ridiculous. She's mortified because she believes that this woman has this gift and that knows these things about him. So she's on a tailspin trying to figure it all out, and we have our session. And I kind of smiled saying, well, this kind of just goes where you're trying to learn and you're giving someone else power over your own intuition of what you feel like's going on because you don't trust yourself. And as we started talking, we could feel that woman's presence in her energy because she allowed all that negativity in where he did not, because he didn't believe it, because his gut was on fire. So she was a mess emotionally and her anxiety was high. And as we talked about it, she started to realize when she was away with her teachers and everything else, that they never helped her. They would just make her sit and never give her answers, that she had to find them out for herself. And that is the soul's journey. Every time we make a choice, we either get stronger or weaker in our energy. And even if the choice isn't quite right, it's going to teach us what we need to know about the next point of what we're trying to learn. So for her, this was a total perfect setup of synchronicities we've talked about in order for her to see what she needs to see. And as we were talking, I told her about my first experience with a psychic medium, which was really awakening to me. I didn't understand the energy world or the psychic world when I first started this work. I just knew it was coming through me and that we all had this way to tap into our own energy and do our own self-healing and see our own journeys and really make decisions for ourselves. But I was working in a co-op, and the owner wanted to bring in more people, and we had a massage therapist, a physical therapist, an acupuncturist, so she brought in a medium, and she required all of us to do a reading with this medium so we could refer our clients to her. And I didn't know anything about mediumship and stuff. Again, like I said, I work from more of an intuitive level, not a psychic level. So I sit in front of this woman, and she does this reading on me, and she tells me that my brother is going to get a divorce and they're going to fight over the children. I'm going to have a household repair in the corner of my house, and it's going to cost me a little bit of money, but it's okay. Then she tells me I'm going to find a new place to work, which I hadn't been looking for one, new office space, and it was in a white building and it was closer to home. And then she lays the bomb on me, telling me my dad's going to go into the hospital, and then he's going to come out for a couple hours and he's going to go back in, and then he's going to pass. And then she tells me the whole dynamics of the family and what happens after. And I'm just sitting there going, I don't even understand where she's getting this, because for me, the way the energy comes through is completely different. And how is she seeing that in my aura, or what is she seeing? So I don't give it much attention. And then as time goes by, my refrigerator breaks. I'm down in the corner cleaning behind it and I'm going, that's weird. All right, my refrigerator broke. So I did have a household repair. And then my brother called to say he broke up with his long-term girlfriend and they were fighting over the dog. So I was like, all right, I'll give her kudos to that one too. And then I did find a new office space unexpectedly, and it was in a white building, and I'm like, wow, this is really weird. And I don't think anything of it. And then my dad goes into the hospital with a bleeding ulcer, and he's in there for about a week. And then he comes home, and 2 hours later I get a phone call. He's being rushed back to the hospital that he's bleeding out. So we get to the ER and they say he's lost so much blood, he's probably not going to make it. So now I'm sitting there completely confused, because this is not how I see energy. And my brother, who tends to run on the psychic side, sees it like this lady does, and he tells me my dad's going to die. But I don't feel that. And I'm just like totally confused sitting there, and everybody's telling my mom he's going to be okay. And I'm like, well, should I tell her he's not going to be okay? Because I know he's not, but I don't know that he's not. So I have this whole dialogue and I'm completely confused now and overwhelmed in the situation. So then they bring him up to ICU and they said it's a wait and see. They're going to go in and try to cauterize the bleeders. But even if he does wake up, he's lost so much blood, he's probably not going to be able to, survive it. So I'm sitting there going, I don't even understand. I don't understand. My brother goes, what don't you understand? His journey's over. And I'm like, it doesn't feel like it. I don't get it. So I'm sitting in the corner and I'm just beside myself. I don't even know what to do. And then all of a sudden I hear this voice in my head that keeps saying, what would you do if you didn't know? What would you do if you didn't know? And I didn't understand it at first, but the more it repeated itself, it was like I was talking to myself, telling myself, what would you do if you didn't know? Well, if I didn't know what the psychic told me, I would do what I do at any point. I would just offer any energy I have for that person to facilitate their own healing, and they have the choice to accept it or not, depending on where their journey's at. So then I sat there and said, well, that's a tall order, because if he's going to die, I'm going to have to help my father die. And if he's going to stay, he'll take the energy and stay. So at that point, I said, you know what? If he's going to die, what have I got to lose? So I sat there, did my thing, opened the energy up for him to choose what he wanted. The next thing you know, I felt him using the energy to his benefit. And I felt everything changing in his energy. And then I felt the life force come back through him. And I'm looking at my brother and I go, I think it's going to be okay. And my brother goes, you're nuts. I go, I think he's going to be okay. And my brother goes, you're nuts. Well, lo and behold, the doctor comes in, says they went to cauterize the bleeders and somehow they had stopped, and he's stable right now and it's a wait and see. So he did not pass at that point. He lasted another 10 years. He had a couple of near misses equal to that. But what I attribute to that is the journey that we chose together and the learning we chose to do together, because he taught me such a valuable lesson that I had to trust myself at a soul level. In life, my dad was not somebody who fostered that in me, but from a soul point, he absolutely did. So I'm grateful to that experience every day. And when I watched my client this past week go through that same struggle, and many other clients who have used psychics and mediums, my advice to you is our journey is defined by choice. They're not always going to be good choices, but they'll always get us to the next step. If you give someone power over you, you weaken your soul and you weaken your direction. So make sure that when you're giving away your power, you understand that you're giving it away, because it can take you down a really bad path. This woman was just a mess for days and her energy was so chaotic, and that's the difference between driving a car safely, making good choices in your checking account, being with a spouse, or whatever it is. And I know that people love psychics and mediums, but make sure they're not giving away your power, that they're empowering you to make choices in your journey.